Hello and welcome. It's The Chat. I am Manny. My guest on the program is one of the best known faces on television. And this was when the NTA introduced the Reach Out station.
Omayeli Diana Odelli is a Nigerian broadcast journalist, pioneer staff at NTA2 Lagos, and a London-based freelance media consultant. Born on May 18, 1960 in Wolverhampton, West Midlands, England, Diana attended Elm Street Infant School, followed by Albion Road Primary School in Willenhall in the West Midlands. She moved to Nigeria in October of 1969. She finished the last few years of primary school and later went on to attend St. Anne's School, Ibadan from 1973 to 1977. After finishing secondary school, she went back to England, where she obtained her A-levels and then returned to Nigeria. Upon her arrival, she attended the University of Lagos, where she bagged a diploma in mass communication. She landed a job at Nitel for a few months and then began her career in broadcasting in February 1981. She started in television and was one of the pioneer continuity announcers on NTA2 Channel 5, which was later tagged the Reach Out station. She presented and co-presented several programs on radio. Music in a Sentimental Mood stood out as she co-produced and presented the program. She returned to England in 1989 and continued in broadcasting with private production companies in television and radio, as well as print media. She is a regular contributor to a fortnightly community newspaper. As a way of giving back to society, she continues to provide her services in propagating the gospel through service as the administrator of a Bible college in South London and has been doing so for 10 years. She is also a music minister. Omayeli Diana Odelli has lived with systemic lupus condition for over 40 years and is a survivor of COVID-19. She is a mother of 2.
Hello, Diana. How are you?
Hi, Manny. How are you? I'm good. Thank you.
That's a broad smile. Something good must be happening to you there.
Not much. Not much.
Well then, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much. Thanks for having me.
It's nice to have you on the program. I was saying that, the NTA in the early 80s was a bit boring, showing programs that a lot of people were, tired of watching. And then, of course, the station was in monopoly of television programming in Nigeria at that time. And so the NTA2, the Reach Out station, was established.
That's
and
right.
You were one of the first known faces on television then.
Yes, we started NTA, well, I started in 1981. Yeah. I'm just trying to remember now, it's been so long ago. I started in 1981 and it was simply NTA2.
Where did you start your broadcasting career from?
I actually started my broadcasting career in Nigeria, in NTA2, because it was what I wanted to do. Yeah, it was what I wanted to do. So I came back from England and I was there in Lagos not doing anything because I wasn't quite sure which way to go, who to turn to and that sort of thing. So I actually started working with Nitel. Remember the big, tall building at the end of Marina? So I was working there in their telecommunications department. I just heard.
What were you doing? What were you working as?
International telephone operator.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you're one of those people who would have to come down to Nitel office to make a phone call.
Or you
overseas.
Phone. That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Did you enjoy the job while it lasted?
Yeah, it was something to do. And yeah, I did enjoy it. And there were
was it your attitude, something to do, just something to do, or you were interested at that point
well,
in being an announcer?
It was communications. And
Yeah.
I started there because my dream job hadn't materialized. And so instead of sitting at home just doing absolutely nothing, because in those days there wasn't daytime television, this job was advertised. I went for the interview, and I was snapped up immediately, probably because of my English accent. So they were happy to have me, and I did the job, and I did it very well. And I enjoyed it while it lasted. And then NTA came along, and I had to work both jobs, simultaneously for a while. And then when everything was sorted in NTA, then I obviously put in my notice at night off.
What was your first day like on television and NTA?
If I can remember, I was enjoying what I was doing. I was a little bit, just a teeny bit nervous. Everybody has butterflies. You've got to have butterflies before you go out on stage. Otherwise, something's bound to happen. And I've never forgotten the day Sienna Orwell-Brown said to me, she said, "What's your name?" And I said, Odelli. She said, "Next time you go on air, say that." So I went, but that's what I said.
What were you saying at that time?
She said I mumbled. She said I mumbled. Okay. She said I mumbled, hence enunciation. So she said, make sure you actually pronounce your name properly. I said, all right, okay, thank you. And it's good to take tips from that and from people like that and concrete criticism, because these things help you learn.
I mean, she's an accomplished professional, so you'd expect to learn from her. But there were also names that you had to learn from, Nigerian names. Did you have difficulties, with Nigerian names, pronouncing Nigerian names?
Some names, yes. I listened to people, how they pronounced the names. I would listen to the newscasters, and I'm not one of those that is, I'm not too proud to ask for help.
Yep.
And so I will ask for help. If I don't know how to pronounce a name, especially, the Igbo names, those are the ones I stumbled over a lot. And so I had to learn to pronounce whichever name it was before going on air. And
is it important that you know how to pronounce these names?
It is absolutely important.
Did you do anything else apart from announcing in the NTA in those days?
In those days, apart from being an announcer, I did put some programs together. So I became a producer, became a director, and then the ever famous Music in a Sentimental Mood, which was...
I remember that. You were presenting that at a late night program you were doing in those days.
Yes, I co-produced that. My greatest producer, the one whom we had a wonderful, wonderful rapport together, is George Kim Okoli.
Yeah.
Best guy. I mean, it's like George actually knew what I wanted before I even said what I was going to do. As soon as I say, okay, George, this is how we're going to do the program today. We'll do this. He says, I got you. And that's exactly what would happen.
Interestingly, Diana, that has changed now. Television and radio operations are no longer what they used to be when you were there. Do you agree?
Well, stuff must evolve, shouldn't it? Television must get better. Radio must also get better. But the question is it? I think my issue is mainly with the presenters. That's where my issue is.
Well, you put together how many years on NTA2?
On NTA2, I think I stayed there for about 9 years. I had no problems there. I just had problems with Nigeria. I just wanted to leave.
All right. Okay. You had problems with Nigeria at the time you were leaving.
Prior to the time I left, it was something that I'd worked up to that. I'd worked up to it. I'd been robbed a couple of times. The first time I was beaten up and pushed out of a cab. The second time I was robbed at gunpoint, with the gun.
Harmless you.
And because it was such a traumatic thing, I was taking my daughter, whom you saw a bit earlier, I was taking her to nursery. And then I was going to go and see Comfort Okoronkwo, who was not too far away from me. And then I was going to come back home and sit with my mom and chat with my mom for a bit before she left for work. Anyway, I pulled out of our driveway and I was deciding, should I go right or left? I said, no, I might as well go right. It's the quickest way so I can drop the baby off in nursery. And there was a car that had been parked in front of the house. I saw the car, but didn't think anything of it. I pulled out. As soon as I was pulling out, they pulled out ahead of me and then drove very fast and then stopped. And then 3 guys jumped out of the car. 2 guys jumped out one from the front, one from the back. There was a lady, harmless lady, to use your word. She was just walking down the road. She was held up. Her bag was snatched off her. She was told to kneel where she was. And then I was in my mum's little bus, the Light Ace. And they came up to me and the guy, very forcefully stuck his hand through the window space, turned the engine off and took the key out and threw the key in the bush. Great. So I just sat there. I had this 2-year-old beside me. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? I just sat there. And this chap now came and he said, shouting, give me your money, give me your money. And I said, I don't have any money. So he took my ring. I was wearing a gold ring. It was my dad's ring. I just buried my father I just come back from burying my father. My father, they took his ring, they took his wristwatch, and then snatched my necklace off me. They couldn't even get it off me. It was 14-karat gold, and they were pulling and tugging. And that just told me not to buy 14-karat anymore. And I've never bought 14-karat or worn it ever since. So they took that off me and left the rest. Anyway, after he did that, he went to report to the one who had the gun. The one who had the gun that came and stuck the gun right in my temple, the left side of my head here. I'll never forget it. As I'm reliving this story, as I'm telling you this story, I can feel that cold metal on my temple. And he said, now, give me your money. So I turned to my child and I said, baby, this is it. And I held her. And at that moment, I saw heaven. I went up to heaven. And so he, I think he must have just sent an angel down and turned him around, And the guy had already clicked the gun. He was going to shoot me. And so as he was being turned around, fired a shot in the air. That shot then brought my mum rushing out onto the balcony because she heard the shot. There were motor mechanics nearby. They jumped up and thought, wow, that's Mama's bus. What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And everybody came running out. And by this time now, the guys had run over. They jumped in the car and they'd sped off. But I was so bold. Everyone was, are you okay? Are you okay? I said, leave me alone. I picked my baby up went back inside the house. I said, Mum, please give me the spare key. She gave me the spare key. I went back down, drove the bus back into the driveway. And then I sat down, and then I broke down.
Big question number one.
Question number one. What's your opinion of the private radio and television stations in Nigeria?
In your time, there was no private radio television stations, were there?
There wasn't. None at all.
And then all of a sudden, when you left, there's a flurry of, private radio TV stations. What do you think?
Maybe they were waiting for me to go. before they started them. No, it's good. It means that the media is evolving. It's moving on, at least trying to keep pace with what's going on in other countries, although I'm not too sure we're doing very, very well. But a lot of them lack the skill to be behind the mic or to be in front of a camera. And that is because many have not been to training school. They've not been trained properly. And the pronunciation is rather poor. It's rather poor. It's not good enough. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from a place where I can correct where something is wrong. Even here in England, I listen to radio almost 24 hours a day. At least my radio is on anyway for that length of time. And sometimes I hear a word which is badly pronounced or mispronounced, and I get in touch with the radio station immediately, and it's corrected. So when the person comes back, maybe in half an hour or a quarter of an hour later, to read the same segment of news, and you find that they'll pronounce the word properly. Why? Because I have gotten in touch with the station to say, hey, this is wrong.
What do you think is that?
Communication.
Is that in the form of training?
Yes, training. Communication comes into that. If you don't pronounce a word properly, if you mispronounce a word, it could mean something different. You know what the English language is like. So if you mispronounce a word, so you're telling your audience you've got a different meaning to what you're actually saying. And I feel that a lot of these presenters today need a little bit more work done. You've got reporters who also need a lot of work done where training is concerned.
Obviously, you left Nigeria and you now reside in the UK. What are you doing here?
I'm here as a freelance broadcast journalist. So if there's work to be done, I get a phone call and I do it. I edit scripts. If there's an event that you need a master of ceremony for, Toastmaster, that's me. Call me, I'll do it. Occasionally, I do a little bit of translation, English to Yoruba. I learned.
Really?
Yes, I learned how to speak Yoruba, so much so that I can translate from Yoruba to English and backwards and the other way.
That's good.
Yeah, I told you.
Are you looking at, Diana, are you looking at coming back to Nigeria since you left? And obviously, now that we have more TV stations and more radio stations, you might like to look at, your career again.
Coming back to Nigeria, I really haven't given it much thought. I could come to Nigeria to come and do training classes. That would be good. I would enjoy doing that. But to come and resume my career, I'm not sure. I haven't really given it that much thought.
You had some health challenges, didn't you?
I can say that I've had a condition called systemic lupus. All the years I was an NTA, I had that. It's an autoimmune disease, which has, it's bugged me basically all my life. And the doctor said, oh, you won't be able to have children, you won't be able to have children. And I thought, wow, they're probably not speaking to me. And I went ahead and I've had two, I thank God. But lupus also brings its challenges. There have been lots of challenges, you know, with joints and replacement limbs and this, that, and the other. Joints rather, not limbs. There's been all sorts of things happening over the years. And then last year, 2020, I had COVID. I caught COVID. And that was terrible. That was a terrible time. I was dreadfully, gravely ill. We were praying that I would survive. And I thank God I did. I thank God I did. It's terrible. But you know what? In all of this, I still thanked God for everything. And I'm still looking my glamorous self, aren't I? You know?
Of course.
People would look at me and they have, you know, you would have no idea that there was anything going on. And that's because I don't focus on any of it. It's because you and I are talking now, you and I and God knows how many other millions of people, we're talking and you've asked me, so I'm telling you. Otherwise, I don't think about it.
We're going to cast you away to an island for 2 weeks. You're allowed to take along with you 5 items.
Right.
What might they be?
I would take my Bible.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I would take a lighter. I'd take...
what would you be doing with a lighter?
Never can tell. I might have to light a fire. Might have to. I would take a Swiss Army knife. What else would I take? I would take a notepad and pen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'd take a cotton sheet.
Can I ask what you'll be reflecting on when you are on the island for 10 weeks, for 10 days rather?
To look back, first of all, on my 60-odd years and see if there's something I could have done better. Look, when I'm looking back, I don't think no regrets. Excuse me, no regrets. I'd reflect on possibly the serenity of the place you've cast me away to. I'm hoping it would be serene. I really hope so. And think about what I'd be able to do with the few more years that God has given to me. You never can tell, you know. God might say, I've got another 60 years to live on this earth. And that would be wonderful. And so I'd then be able to put into plan everything that I've been thinking about over the years. Even if it's not up to 60 years, I'll still do it. Anyway.
Thank you very much, Diana. It's been nice talking with you.
Thank you for inviting me onto your program. All the best.
Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's been Diana Odelli, television presenter in the 80s in Nigeria. It's been On the Chat. I am Manny. See you next time.
The Chat is produced by Channels Television.
You can watch it again online. Just visit our social media platforms: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook.